It's cozy season, and nothing compares to wrapping yourself in a Minky Couture blanket. Luxuriously soft, perfectly warm, thoughtfully made. From movie nights to chilly mornings, Minky Couture turns everyday moments into pure comfort. Once you feel it, you'll understand why it's called the original best blanket ever. Visit minkycouture.com or a store near you and make this cozy season your softest one yet.
When you buy LG, you get so much more than just an appliance. You get more done, more cost savings, more peace of mind, and more control. Because LG appliances are designed to do more. Like washers and dryers with AI tech to take out the guesswork, refrigerators that fit in tight spaces and keep food fresher longer, or ranges with precise induction cooking and easy cleanup built in, all with the style you want and reliability you can count on, so you can get more from your home every day. LG Appliances. So much more. Make life easier with LG. See the latest models and savings now at lg.com.
Welcome to the Lord of the Rings Lorecast, the show that explores the background of Tolkien's amazing world from the very beginning. You probably hear those waves in the background, and you're probably wondering, wait a minute, didn't we finish Tuor's story? He was the guy that had the whole longing for the sea thing and all of that. Yes, we did. We're moving on to another story, and we're jumping over a few of them. The very next story in the Unfinished Tales is The Children of Hurin, which, much later on from the release of The Unfinished Tales, is the pretty much complete story of The Children of Hurin. It was released about, 15 years ago, and is a much updated version of the story from the one that we get in The Unfinished Tales. So instead of going over that story again and kind of stair-stepping our way through, I'm going to hold off on tackling that until we get to the actual full release of The Children of Hurin. Next after that, in The Unfinished Tales, is a description of Numenor. We move into the Second Age, and we get the descriptions of the island, and again, it's very similar to what we have in the Silmarillion, with the different points of the star, and the mountain in the middle, and all of the landscape, and all of that. And there are some differences, but I decided that we would skip over that as well, and get to another story. An unfinished story, but a story all the same. This is called Aldarion and Arendis. And the first section of this is called The Mariner's Wife. Now, this is a story of the sea-loving descendant of the line of kings of Numenor. So we're in the Second Age. And the story starts off during the reign of Tar Elendil, the fourth king of Numenor. And, of course, Elendil is a familiar name, but this is a different Elendil than the one that you're probably familiar with. And this story follows the sea longing of a different character. This isn't Tuor. This is a man. It's Tar Elendil's grandson, Aldarion. And these events begin around 750 years into the Second Age. So there's a considerable amount of time from the end of the First Age, but we're significantly far away from the end of the Second Age. This is during that early period of Numenor when the Numenorians were still in the good graces of the Valar. They hadn't turned against them yet. This was a time of peace. A time when the people of Numenor, the men, or the humans of Numenor, were getting along with the elves. They still had a good relationship with them. And Aldarion is called to the sea. He feels a longing. And it's something that his father, Meneldur, the son of Tar Elendil, doesn't understand. It's also something that seems to be of grave importance to him, but doesn't get revealed right away. Let's dig into the story of Aldarion and Arendis, the Mariner's Wife. The beginning of this story gives us a very specific layout of all of these characters, who descended from who had siblings, who was married to whoever. We're going to jump over that. It's a bunch of different names, and really for the important parts of this story, we just need to know about a few specific people. So I mentioned Tar Elendil, and then he has a son, Meneldur, and then Meneldur has a son, Aldarion. Now, Aldarion's mother is Almerion, who is married to Meneldur, and then her father, so Aldarion's grandfather, is Veantur. And Veantur loved the sea. It's said that he never journeyed by land if he could by water. His home was near the southern side of the Firth of Romena. This is an area that was a place where many boats were set up, and basically the sea-loving population of Numenor, many of them moored their boats here. They lived in this area. But what about Aldarion? Well, we get this nice juicy paragraph. It says, Aldarion, for so he is called in all tales, grew swiftly to a man of great stature, strong and vigorous in mind and body, golden-haired as his mother, ready to mirth and generous, but prouder than his father and ever more bent on his own will. This is going to play into the story. Every little detail in this, much like any of the other stories that we've read through so far, is important. This idea that he's much like his mother, but prouder than his father and more bent on his own will. Already, Tolkien is setting up a certain amount of contrast, not only contrast, but friction here between Aldarion and his father. This paragraph goes on and says, from the first he loved the sea, and his mind was turned to the craft of shipbuilding. He had little liking for the North Country, which is where he grew up, and spent all the time that his father would grant by the shores of the sea, especially near Romena, where his grandfather lived, where was the chief haven of Numenor, the greatest shipyards, and the most skilled shipwrights. His father did little to hinder him for many years, being well pleased that Aldarion should have exercise for his hardihood and work for thought and hand. The idea here is that he always had a longing to the sea, just like Tuor in a way, even though he grew up in a place that wasn't near the sea. But it was somehow in his blood, which makes sense because he's a descendant of that line. And early on in the story, right in this paragraph, which is only a few paragraphs into the story, it's like the 6th paragraph, we know that his father isn't too keen on the idea, hopes that it doesn't become too big of a thing for him, but is okay with it in his youth because he needs to stay busy. He needs to do strong work and be thinking about things, right? He needs to be learning and experiencing the world. And so that's what he's doing. But in comes Veantur. We're told that Aldarion was much loved by Veantur, his mother's father, and that Veantur would take him in to his house and teach him things. Quote, it happened on a time that Veantur said to his grandson, Enardilia, the spring is drawing nigh, and also the day of your full age. For in that April, Aldarion would be 25 years old. I have a way in mind to mark it fittingly. My own years are far greater, and I do not think that I shall often, again, have the heart to leave my fair house and the blessed shores of Numenor. But once more, at least, I would ride the great sea and face the north wind and the east. This year you shall come with me, and we will go to Mithland and see the tall blue mountains of Middle-earth and the green land of the Eldar at their feet. Good welcome you will find with Círdan the shipwright and from King Gilgalad. Speak of this to your father. So there's a few things to note already. We know that Veantur is getting up in age, and this is maybe his last chance to go explore the wider lands of Middle-earth beyond just the island of Numenor and nearby islands and things like that. We also know that he is a friend of the elves, that he has a personal relationship with them. He even speaks Elven, Aldarion Ardilia, which is an Elven kind of ending to his name that has a familiar sense to it, like my child. Later on, His father, Meneldur, calls him Anya, which also means my child. That YA ending is a familiar sort of word or sound. And so, of course, Aldarion goes to his father and tells him what he wants to do. He says, hey, I want to leave as soon as the spring winds should be favorable. But we're told that Meneldur was loath to grant it. He says, do as your heart calls, Anya, my child. I shall miss you sorely, but with Veantur as captain, under the grace of the Valar, I shall live in good hope of your return. But do not become enamored of the great lands, you who one day must be king and father of this isle. Meneldur has a sense here, and many characters in these stories do, a sense of things that are about to happen, or the way things may play out. And he sees a seed in his son that he's worried about. He's not worried so much that he won't survive, that he won't return. He feels that Veantur is a good mariner. It seems like they have a good relationship. But he's more so concerned that the exploration of the great lands, this journey to Middle-earth and all these other places, will enamor him. And the danger with that is that if Middle-earth captures his heart, then his love for the island of Numenor won't match it. He is to become king one day. He needs to be focused on his people, his homeland. So then we're told, thus it came to pass that on a morning of fair sun and white wind, which is an interesting phrase, I would imagine good wind, clear skies, in the bright spring of the 725th year of the Second Age, the son of the king's heir of Numenor sailed from the land, and ere day was over, he saw it sink, simmering, into the sea. The island behind him. This isn't the actual sinking of Numenor. That doesn't happen for quite some time later. But he sees the island appearing to sink behind him, the way that islands and lands do as you sail away from them across the ocean. And last of all, the peak of the Meneltarma as a dark finger against the sunset. A dark finger. It's almost like this is a vision of things to come without it actually happening, or even appearing too sinister because it looks like something very normal. And we're reminded again that our perspective on this story comes from a much later time, that this story must have been passed down somehow among the records of the survivors of Numenor to the people of Gondor, something like that. It says here that Aldarion himself wrote records of all his journeys of Middle-earth, and they were long preserved in Romena, though all were afterwards lost. And of his first journey, little is known. We get these holes in our understanding of what's actually happening here, which plays into some of the tension and I guess you could even say confusion about some of the things that get revealed later. One of them initially is we know that he went on this journey. We know that he and his grandfather on that other side of the family got to explore lots of different places. It's generally understood that he became friends with Círdan and Gil-galad, these very important elven figures who were at this point ancient. He traveled to places like Lindon, the west of Eriador, and we also know that he marveled at all he saw. It took him 2 years to return. And in that time, Meneldur wasn't too happy with this. 2 years was a long time to be gone. And again, he wasn't worried that he wasn't safe. It was more of, hey, you need to come back. You need to think and focus on Numenor rather than all these other places. But he didn't just sightsee during this time. It's said that he had this eagerness to learn all that he could from Círdan, the shipwright, because his heart wasn't just on exploration or the sea. It was also in shipbuilding, something that should be very important to an island nation. The making and management of ships, the building of walls to withstand the hunger of the sea. These seem like very important things that the Numenorians could still learn a great amount from somebody like Círdan, who has been doing it for millennia. But eventually he returns. And we're told that there was great joy in Romena, Armenelos, when they saw the great ship Numenor return. Numenor means west wings. It comes out of the sea. We're told that the golden sails were reddened in the sunset. It was a beautiful sight. And at this point, the summer was nearly over. And we get this really interesting word signifying a special occasion, a holiday. Basically, the Thanksgiving autumn feast in Numenor. It's called Eruhantale. This was about to be celebrated. And it seemed to Meneldur, when he welcomed his son in the house of Vaentur, that he had grown in stature, and his eyes were brighter, but they looked far away. Meneldur could tell that this journey had changed his son. But like a good father, he embraces his son, welcomes him back, and asks him questions. He says, "What did you see, Anya, in your faraway journeys that now lives most in memory?" And we get this interesting response, or maybe non-response, from Aldarion. Looking east towards the night, he was silent. At last he answered, but softly, as one that speaks to himself. "They're fair people of the elves? The green shores? The mountains wreathed in cloud? The regions of mist and shadow beyond, I guess? I do not know." He ceased, and Meneldur knew that he had not spoken his full mind. For Aldarion had become enamored of the great sea, and of a ship riding there alone without sight of land, borne by the winds with foam at its throat to coasts and havens unguessed. And that love and desire never left him until life's end. It's time for that spring reset. I'm taking a look at everything in my closet and figuring out that, oh no, this absolutely needs to go. And it's about time I replace things so that my clothes aren't older than my 15-year-old. Now you might think that they lasted that long because they were well made, but no, they're in terrible condition. Unlike the new jeans I just got from Quince. Jeans have always been my personal go-to because you can kind of wear them for lots of different things, but maybe they're not your thing. Maybe you're looking for, 100% European linen with insanely soft flow knit activewear fabric. It's definitely getting warmer, and their flow knit activewear is moisture wicking, anti-odor, and soft enough that you'll actually want to wear it every day. So pick out what you want. You can't go wrong because they have prices 50 to 60% less than similar brands. And like I said before, they are high quality. I continue to wear their clothes all the time, and I know that these new jeans are going to last me a lot better than the other things in my wardrobe. And on top of it, they look great. They're so comfortable. And I spent just as much on the jeans that I am now cleaning out of my wardrobe. So if you're looking for something better, just all around better, go check out Quince. So go do it right now. Refresh your wardrobe with Quince. Go to quince.com/ringslore for free shipping and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. Go to quince.com/ringslore for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/ringslore.
It's cozy season, and nothing compares to wrapping yourself in a Minky Couture blanket. Luxuriously soft, perfectly warm, thoughtfully made. From movie nights to chilly mornings, Minky Couture turns everyday moments into pure comfort. Once you feel it, you'll understand why it's called the original best blanket ever. Visit minkycouture.com or a store near you and make this cozy season your softest one yet.
All right, here we are in the middle of the show. Thank you for joining me. I hope you're enjoying this new story. Also, before we get into the whole Patreon thing, just wanted to let you know I've updated the shirts on the regular store, not the Patreon store, but just the regular Robots Radio merch store. You can get there, go to robotsradio.net. There's a merch link along the top with all the different things you can go see on the site. And we've got a new provider. We've got some new designs. I've got a really funny shirt I designed with a very cute, sad Sauron who's thinking about how he lost his ring. Go check it out. I think you guys will get a kick out of it. But we have to shout out our patrons. This is why we're here in the middle of the show. Big shout outs to our newest patrons, Sandra L. and Frederick F. Welcome to the Patreon. I hope you're enjoying what you can get on there. Ad-free episodes, t-shirts, all sorts of fun stuff. Also, you can get shouted out every week if you sign up as a VIP patron like all of these wonderful people. AK Music Lover, Anakin S, Apollo, Aragorn III, Austin C, Azzle Razzle, Barney D, Bo, Black Squirrel, Brandy D, Chewbacca, Cutter Metalworks, David S, David M, Divine Madman, I was doing so well, Drupal, Esoteric Rage, Fulcrum, Gimme Lee a Break, Gemma D, Jesse P, J Eggs, Jezer, Kate L, Katie S, Capenna, Lore FC, Lori B, Mason Weathertop, Michael M, Nick K, Nostrils of Sauron, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Peace Lutheran Church, Rosie Rose, Sam B, Sauron for Life, Seju, TJT, and Tour Son of Hoor. Holy moly. Thank you so much to all of you and for all of your support. Also, you can review the show. You can give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and I'll read it out just like this one that came in this last week. This is from Fanson84 in Great Britain, who writes, wonderful, 5 stars, fantastic podcast. This detailed breakdowns and in-depth narration of the Silmarillion, at times thoughtful, at others funny, and always informative. Maybe spend a little time working on pronunciation of names, though. Yeah, hopefully I'm doing better. I feel like as this has gone on, I've been learning more. Other people have been helping. I'm getting better at it. So hopefully that's true. I hope that you've noticed. But thank you for that 5-star review, and to everyone else who helps support the show in all sorts of different ways, sharing it with your friends, rating it on Spotify, all the different ways that you can. Thank you so much. I can't do this without you, and I greatly appreciate it. All right, let's move on with the story. So Aldarion returns, and Menelder, his father, can tell that things have changed, and not in a direction that he's particularly happy with. He wants to make sure that his son is ready to rule Numenor, that his focus is on Numenor. And yet, in the midst of this, after he returns, Vaynter gifts him the ship that they sailed in, the Numenor. Vaynter knows that he's not going out on the ocean again. He knows he's reaching his later stage in life and that his place is in Numenor. 3 years go by, and Aldarion begs to leave again, to set sail for Lindon. This time, it's granted. He's able to go, and he's gone for 3 years. A year longer than his first voyage. And then he makes another voyage that lasts 4 years. Quote, it is said that he was no longer content to sail to Mithland, but began to explore the coasts southward. So let's ask the question, why was he exploring southward? The general premise here is that he had a general longing for exploration and for the sea, for seeing the greater, wider world, experiencing new places. But I'm going to plant a seed here and ask, is there another reason that he would be exploring the southern shores of Middle-earth? He returns, now at 39 years of age, and he brings gifts from Gil-galad to his father. And in that following year, Tar Elendil relinquishes the scepter to his son. Aldarion's father, Menelder, becomes Tar Menelder. He becomes the king. So now, Aldarion is the son of the king, not just the grandson of the king, but the next in line. So in a way, he just leveled up in importance. The idea that, oh, you're the grandson of the king and you decide to go explore the world seemed okay. But now that he was the son of the king, he decided that it was time to restrain his desire, to remain home for a while, to help support his father through this transition to play the part of a prince and an heir to the throne of Numenor. And while he was in Numenor for this extended period, he put to use the knowledge he had gained from Círdan concerning the making of ships, and he came up with new ideas as well. He used all of this knowledge to improve the havens and the quays and to build even greater, bigger vessels. And again, let me ask you the question, why? Was it simply that he loved building and he loved the sea? Or was there an important reason that has not been revealed yet? as to why Numenor would need improved havens, bigger ships. And Tolkien in this text doesn't plant those questions. He just simply gives you what appears to be Menelder's view of his son, his assumptions about his son. But maybe there's something more going on. And after a considerable amount of time, we know that the sea longing came upon him anew, as it says in the text, and he departed again from Numenor. But this time he wasn't alone. He formed a guild, the Guild of Venturers. And it says here that they were afterwards renowned. To that brotherhood were joined all the hardiest and most eager mariners, and young men sought admission to it, even from the inland regions of Numenor. And Aldarion they called the Great Captain. He was somebody who was forming this group of young, adventurous, strong, healthy mariners. To do what? To continue to explore Middle-earth? It seemed like it to Tar Menelder. It says here, at that time, having no mind to live upon lands in Armenelos, had a ship built. He had a ship built, meaning Aldarion, that should serve as his dwelling place. He basically builds an RV on the ocean. Not really, but a ship that was designed in a very specific way so that he could live in it, that it could be his home. He named it, therefore, Eambar, and at times he would sail in it from haven to haven of Numenor, and for the most part it lay at anchor off Tol Uinen. And that was a little isle in the Bay of Romena that was set there by Uinen, the Lady of the Seas. Now you might be wondering, who is Uinen? Uinen was a Maya, the spouse of Osei, the Lady of the Seas. And this location was very important to the Guild of Venturers. It said that upon Eambar was the guild house of the Venturers, and they kept their records here of all their great voyages. For Tar Menelder looked coldly on the enterprises of his son, and cared not to hear the tales of his journeys, believing that he sowed the seeds of restlessness and the desire of other lands to hold. This is a story of two people who have good intentions who just don't communicate. Tar Menelder has assumptions about his son, and Aldarion could have done a better job to try to get the ear of his father. Menelder thinks that this is a bad idea for a very specific reason, not just the fact that his son should be focused more on the homeland, the island of Numenor, but because he thinks that it sows desire to hold other lands. And he knows that this is an evil desire. It shouldn't be the place of the Numenorians to take the lands of other people. And yet he fears that this love of exploration will lead to that. And we get this fallout between the two of them. In that time, Aldarion became estranged from his father and ceased to speak openly of his designs and his desires. But Almerion, the queen, supported her son in all that he did, and Menelder, perforce, let matters go as they must. For the venturers grew in numbers and in the esteem of men, and they called them Uenendali, the lovers of Uenen, and their captain became the less easy to rebuke or restrain. The ships of the Numenorians became even larger and of greater draft in those days, until they could make far voyages, carrying many men and great cargoes, and Aldarion was often long gone from Numenor. Up until this point, we know of 4 voyages across the ocean. But now we're getting this sort of skip ahead moment where we're told that he's often gone. How many times, we don't know. But this was not something that Menelder was cool with. It says Tar Menelder ever opposed his son, and he set a curb on the felling of trees in Numenor for the building of vessels. Basically, you can't use trees to build ships, so therefore you can't have new ships or repair the existing ships. Kind of like he can't keep them from going, but maybe he can keep the ships from being built or fixed. And it came therefore into Aldarion's mind that he would find timber in Middle-earth and seek there for a haven for the repair of his ships. So he decides, well, if I can't get the wood, the trees that I need for these ships here in Numenor, then I'll just have to go to Middle-earth and set up a place where I can at least fix, if not build, my own ships. In his voyages down the coasts, he looked with wonder on the great forests, and at the mouth of the river that the Numenorians called Gwathir, River of Shadow, he established Vinyalonde, the new haven. And again, with no communication to his father, meaning no understanding from us, the audience, as to why this was so important. Was this just a selfish endeavor? Is this just him going to do the things that he wanted to do and neglecting his position and the people of Numenor? Or is there something more going on? Well, around the 800th year of the Second Age, Tar Menelder finally puts his foot down and not only demands, but commands his son to remain in Numenor. But you'd have to imagine that didn't go over very well with Aldarion. We'll continue this story next week. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to the Lord of the Rings Lorecast. If you'd like to learn more about other fantasy worlds, check out my other podcasts, The Elder Scrolls Lorecast, The Witcher Lorecast, and more at robotsradio.net. If you'd like to reach out, I'd love to hear from you. Send me a note on Twitter at robots_radio, or join our amazing community on the Robots Radio Discord. There are links in the show notes, or just search Robots Radio Discord, or find the link on robotsradio.net. I'll see you next time.
It's cozy season, and nothing compares to wrapping yourself in a Minky Couture blanket. Luxuriously soft, perfectly warm, thoughtfully made. From movie nights to chilly mornings, Minky Couture turns everyday moments into pure comfort. Once you feel it, you'll understand why it's called the original best blanket ever. Visit minkycouture.com or a store near you and make this cozy season your softest one yet.
When you buy LG, you get so much more than just an appliance. You get more done, more cost savings, more peace of mind, and more control. Because LG appliances are designed to do more. Like washers and dryers with AI tech to take out the guesswork. Refrigerators that fit in tight spaces and keep food fresher longer. Or ranges with precise induction cooking and easy cleanup built in. All with the style you want and reliability you can count on. So you can get more from your home every day. LG appliances, so much more. Make life easier with LG. See the latest models and savings now at LG.com.